Would you support a ceasefire with an arms embargo to Israel?
Yes, absolutely. I am as anti-Israel as it gets. Israel has proven itself a genocidal nation. 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago, we were talking about Germany and what it was doing in the Holocaust and how it was abhorrent and how long it took for the world to see what was really going on and to get involved. It took us almost 5 years before the United States decided to get involved in World War II and to stop what was going on. And it was only after we invaded Germany and Poland that we saw what was really happening. And I think now we are seeing something very similar taking place in the Middle East. We are seeing the extermination of an entire people. And by uh, federal law, we are required to investigate this. Title 18 is the US code that the FBI is bound to investigate based upon. And in Title 18, genocide is prohibited by a US national or by anybody that travels to the US, and it is an extraterritorial law, meaning that we, as American federal law enforcement officers, ought to be investigating this and ensuring that if a genocide is indeed taking place, that we are not complicit in it, and that none of our government officials are complicit in it. And so I call upon everybody here to pledge that we will at least investigate this, because we don't want international bodies doing these sorts of investigations, but we definitely have probable cause to look into this and have our own federal law enforcement determine what is going on in Gaza and the rest of the Middle East, and whether Israel and the IDF are complicit or are committing a genocide.
Mr. Pallone.
Well, I totally disagree with Mr. Fahad. Israel is not a genocidal nation. It was the Jewish people for which the genocide was committed against during the Nazi Holocaust. Israel is not the genocidal nation. I am 100% support of Israel. I voted to send arms to Israel in the supplemental appropriations bill that we had. I would not cut off arms to Israel. We can't have a unilateral ceasefire. A ceasefire is good if it's negotiated between Israel and its enemies. But the fact of the matter is, these enemies, Hezbollah and also Hamas, they're the terrorist organizations that attacked Israel initially. And it's all about Iran. Iran is financing all of it. Iran is an enemy of the United States. If you think for 1 minute that we can just simply lay down our arms and have a unilateral ceasefire, Iran will take advantage of that. You see what they're doing. They've been financing these terrorist regimes for over a century, for over a decade now. And so we cannot, we have to be supportive of Israel. If we can negotiate something for a ceasefire, that's a good thing. But I don't know how that's possible right now, given these terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas that are simply hell-bent on destroying the state of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. Pallone. Next, Mr. Amatrano.
Yeah, I don't think we have any business funding any of these wars. We have no business sending resources, men, anything, because we choose one side, we fund that side, and it's usually for our own benefit. The more we get involved in other countries, it seems like the worse they are when we leave. The only thing I would say is if both sides want us to mediate the conflict, then we would do it, but not from a military point of view or perspective. And thank you.
Okay. Mr. Tarbus? You're muted. Please unmute.
I agree a lot with Mr. Akhtar, a lot of what he said. The image of Israel and the reality of Israel are two different things. As far as negotiating a ceasefire or arms embargo, I think we need to put an arms embargo on Israel, because the Netanyahu government is not interested in negotiating. Just the other day, there was an article in Haaretz and also the Times of Israel, and it said that Netanyahu's government is not seeking to revive hostage talks, and the political leadership is pushing for the gradual annexation of large parts of the Gaza Strip. Annexation of large parts of the Gaza Strip. That sounds like ethnic cleansing to me. And we need to understand the history of the state of Israel. The state of Israel was created in 1948 through massive ethnic cleansing. 750,000 people were driven from their homes violently by terrorist gangs the Stern Gang, the Irgun, and this is all objective fact. And the borders of Israel are not well defined, and they're constantly seeking to expand them. And we see that in Gaza. There's already talk about building more settlements in Gaza. And there's been a slow motion ethnic cleansing on the West Bank where armed settlers are taking over Palestinian homes. And so we definitely need an arms embargo. We need common sense policy towards Israel and Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Tarbus. Mr. Fegler.
Well, I guess just a quick little history lesson. I just celebrated Jewish New Year, which was year 5,785. So a little different than the numbers, I guess, that you just came up with. Look, the war ends as soon as the hostages are released, right? I was in Europe on October 7th. I was traveling with Jewish people. I watched them take off their Stars of David with fear in their eyes for a Holocaust 2.0. My mother is Jewish. My wife is Jewish. Israel and its safety is the most important thing to me. Look, the war ends when the hostages are released, and that's as simple as that. I actually agree with Congressman Pallone. Iran is behind this whole thing, and we need to cut the head off the snake and focus our efforts on Iran. But release the hostages.
Thank you.